Hello, my name is Carrie Broderman, and today I'm going to tell you about my journey through CSU's Adult Education and Training Online Graduate Program. First, let's look at the presentation overview. Why did I decide to go to graduate school? That's the first topic that I will discuss today. Next, I will discuss the courses which added to my existing knowledge and experience. Then, I will talk about the courses which have impacted and will continue to impact my future career. And lastly, I'll discuss the unexpected benefits of the Adult Education and Training Program. So, why did I need my master's? Why did I want my master's? Well, about 4 years ago, while I was teaching at Stuttgart University, I had a boss who was the director of the English department there. And we collaborated a lot with my schedule and my classes. And after a couple years, I really thought, wow, his job is what I want to have. So one day I sat down with him and I asked, what can I do to have a similar position to you? And among a lot of other things, he really pushed that I get my master's degree and even consider doing a PhD. And that was really the first kick that got me into thinking about which kind of program I want to pursue. And of course, I knew that I wanted to continue in education. And because I was out of the country, the AET program was just perfect for me. Next, I want to talk about the courses which built onto my previous knowledge and experience. As I've already said, I've taught English as a second language for about 7 years. And although I had been teaching, I was never given at the beginning any theoretical knowledge of how to actually design curriculum or how to teach. And these holes in my knowledge I found were filled with instructional design. One of the biggest aspects that I've learned from the instructional design class is to set clear objectives. In my courses previously, I would talk about one very big grammar point that we needed to discuss, for example, past tense. But I would never set clear objectives, and I feel that instructional design gave me a great understanding of how exactly to do this in a specific way so everyone knows what we're trying to achieve. And I also feel that my students have greatly benefited from this because I was able to apply this almost immediately. The next thing that I learned from this course is how to make effective assessments, especially for English. As you all know, with reading and listening and writing, you can find a test for those. But for speaking, I feel that to assess speaking skills can be very objective. And Professor Kaminsky was really able to give me some strategies which I used and found to be very helpful and effective in the way that I did that. And lastly, I want to talk about how I was able to use this instructional design immediately because while I was in this course, I was also teaching a course that I was creating the instructional design for. So when I was creating it, the next day I was using it. And so at the end of the semester, I had almost also completed the semester at my work, and I was able to assess my instructional design immediately. And because of that, I was able to say, okay, this is what worked and this is what didn't, and how can I make it better? And even the things that worked, I was able to say, all right, how can I improve on this and continue to make this even better than it is now? So this was one of those courses that really helped my teaching currently and will just continue to help me be a better professor. Courses which have impacted my future career were the program visit from EDAE 520 and the research from EDRM 600. For the program visit, I decided to interview the director of Bosch China's internal training center. This training center is really just for employees, and it's usually for like standard corporate training for like a new employee comes into the company and then they need to tell him about the mission and about what Bosch stands for and the company and the community within the company. And that's the main and the standard training. But they do also a lot of other trainings. For example, if you have problems with Microsoft Word or Excel, they will also help you to do that sort of thing. In respects to the trainers, I found that they only have 10% of their trainers which they hire on, and the other 90% are just contracted to do certain things. And so as a trainer, I think I would prefer to stay probably at a university because I know that they are able to contract more teachers, and I also feel as an English instructor I can use a bit more creativity. And because I had always wondered what it's like to work as like a trainer, as an in-house trainer for a company, I felt that this program visit really helped me to solidify that I love my current job and I really don't want to pursue going into the corporate world. Next, I would like to talk about the quantitative research that I did in EDRM 600. When I first started the master's program, I knew that we would be doing research, and I just couldn't wait. Because I live in China, and I have access to over 150 students, so I knew, okay, this is something that I want to do, is I want to research something that is really specific to China and maybe a current phenomenon. And that is exactly what I did. I researched the factors which influence Chinese students to study abroad. And I was able to survey 153 students, and I got a great result back, which was that over half of the students are going to other countries to study because they can't get into a good university within China. So not only has this helped me understand my students better, but it's also given me quite an insight into their culture. Because of that, I still wanted to know more. I continued on and did a qualitative study with the same topic to do some interviews. And these interviews filled the holes that I got in the quantitative study because surveys, as you all know, can only get so much information. And I felt like the interviews kind of just filled in all of those blanks. So that was one of my favorite parts, and this will definitely be able to help me in my future career because what I'm hoping to do in the future is to become part of a Sino joint venture. Currently, there are tons of Sino joint ventures in England, Australia, and America with China because they offer a dual degree. That means that the students will complete some amount of years in China and then some amount of years in the US, and they are given both degrees. So from both countries, in both universities, they will get a degree. And the school I'm at offers a 3+1 dual degree, so they do 3 years in China and 1 year in the US. I would like to become part of one of these joint ventures because now that I have worked in China and I've worked with students who are specifically doing this dual degree, I know what they're looking for. I know the type of students that choose to go abroad in this dual degree, and I feel like this is something that I'm interested in keeping up with for quite a while because I don't think it's a trend that is going to stop anytime soon. In the future, I hope to become a director in some part of this, whether it be study abroad or English. And one thing that I have taken from The Courage to Teach by Parker J. Palmer is the community of truth. And that is that we shift the focus of learning from an expert to the subject. And that means that instead of, people who are learning are just looking up to one person, it would be that here's a subject and then everyone's looking into that. So if I were a director, I would really take this on and say, we need to get the teachers together regularly. We don't want them to work independently anymore. We want to find out their successes and their failures, and we want to share, what we've been learning from our students, because if the more that we are able to share with each other, the better that our education becomes, our programs become, and the better it is for our students. So I feel like this community of truth has really sunk in as to something that I want to continue to strive for in my future career. Lastly, I would like to discuss the unexpected benefits of the program, and first would be the information retention. Because we have one topic that we read about per week, and then we are able to read and then reread various opinions from our classmates, I found that the information retention was so great that after a week, I remembered almost everything that was shared because I was able to read it and see it and then reflect on it and then write a response to it. And doing all of these actions over a 7-day period for me was a huge benefit in the sense of I was really just a sponge. I was just taking in everything that was being said. And comparing this to a traditional in-class course where you may read something once, listen to it once, and then discuss in a classroom for an hour, it doesn't compare. I really think that the online program was much more advantageous in that sense. Second of all, my writing ability improved greatly because at the beginning, I found that it took me forever to write a post, and they were so long. And slowly but surely, I was able to make all of my writing very concise, coherent, and interesting for others to read. And this will help me throughout life because I've been able to, expand my vocabulary. And writing is such a huge, part of our lives that, that's just one of those benefits that I'll be able to take and use in any profession even if I decided to go somewhere else. Third of all, I learned new technology. And for example, exactly what I'm doing right now is something that I never knew how to do. And so I was able to push myself into, this kind of unfamiliar waters and say, oh, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to try. And I found that it really pushed me into this comfort zone, which was not a comfort zone, but now has become one because I'm comfortable doing this. And I also feel more comfortable in trying new things as well in technology. And the last thing I want to talk about is the amount of information that I learned from my cohorts. Every reading that we had was the same, but the interpretations and the personal experiences, those posts that I was able to read were really invaluable. I took so much away from my classmates that it made me a better teacher because you are constantly thinking about, wow, these are my classmates, but this could also be a student of mine, and I need to look at this from various points of view to really get a good understanding of the topic. So my cohorts helped me more than I ever imagined. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to all of you. Of course, to the teachers, thanks for your time. Thank you for your emails and for your talks outside of class. And I also wanted to say thank you to all of my classmates. I really couldn't have done it without you, and I couldn't have learned so much without you. So thanks again.